Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the November meeting of the Oak Hills Park Authority. First item on the agenda, or second item actually now, is our roll call. So as I call your name, if you could just say here or I, and hopefully I won't forget anybody. So we have Denise Brown.
Here.
Gary Leeds.
Here.
Mary Verrill.
Here.
Richard Dellinger.
Here.
Alan Dutton. And we now have a quorum. So we will start the meeting. And third item on the agenda is the acceptance of the minutes. Could I have a motion to accept the minutes, please?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Have a second?
A second.
Denise Brown. Any discussion or any errors or omissions that we see in the minutes for the October the 17th meeting? Anybody see anything?
I didn't.
I actually looked through them and actually didn't. I thought, very good job. I didn't see any errors or omissions. Anybody else?
No, I'd just like to say I agree, Alan. There are sometimes some errors and so forth. This was absolutely perfect. Yeah.
I think it's a great job. So there being no errors or omissions or any changes, I'd like to have a vote to accept the minutes as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? There being none, the minutes are approved, not improved, approved. Item 4 on the agenda is public participation.
Just to make a note, Jennifer's on too. You want to just add Jennifer to the attendance?
Yes. Jennifer McAllister joined the meeting. Thank you, Richard, has joined the meeting. Hello, Jennifer. Thank you. Nice to see you. Or hear you.
Hi, I for some reason I don't have the panelist link. I'm here as an observer.
So Mark, could you send the panelist link to Jennifer, do you think?
I don't send any links. I know it has my name on it, but it doesn't come from me.
Okay.
It comes from the city. I see Jennifer, Jerry Crawley, and Jim Shell all listed as attendees. Jim Holiday, can you, I think if you hover on them, you should be able to promote to panelist. Is that possible?
Yes, indeed. I can do that. And okay. The only person that we do not have who remains a guest is someone who identifies as Snow3.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so Jennifer has joined the meeting. So under public participation now, are there any members, Jim, are there any members of the public that would like to participate in this meeting? If so, they would need to raise their hand, I believe.
Yeah, or Snow3 make comments at this part of the meeting. Would you like to speak, Snow3? It appears that Snow3 would like to listen.
Okay.
Snow3 is muted, but I am happy to unmute Snow3.
I think that's up to them, basically. So
Yep.
There being no other public participation, we will now move on to item 5 on the agenda. So I'd just like to say that the actual agenda has changed, and I believe, Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, it's going to be a standard agenda for pretty much all committees for the city of Norwalk. And I'd like to thank Jim Holiday for all the hard work he's had to put in to to work with this new agenda. This will be the format from now on moving forward. So the reports are pretty much all bunched together between chair, restaurant, nature, tennis, supporters, long-term planning, golf professional, superintendent, controller, and general manager, whole business, new business, and adjournment. So they are the way the agenda is going to look. I should also like to add that Robert Stowers has joined the meeting. So please add Robert onto our attendees list. So From the chair, as I said, we do have the new agenda. At this meeting, we will hear from Mark and from Paul, and management team has put together some recommendations for our fees and pricing for the next fiscal year. We'll be looking probably at three main areas. We'll be discussing the unlimited annual pass booking time process framework, how many days in advance can be booked. We're looking at the pricing of membership, the membership card, and then the pricing of play and also carts will be the three main items under discussion. Gary Leeds will give us during his report on the long range planning committee. Jerry's been working very hard these last month since our last meeting to meet with several different authority members and other people to move this program along, and will be giving us a report on that. Jim Holiday will be giving us an update on our booking system for Oak Hills. We've been using Golf Now for a 3-year period. The contract is coming to an end, and we're looking to make a change and to improve what we have. And Jim will be giving us an update on that. And finally, the two Jims will update us on unplanned capital expense in the maintenance area, which has come forward based upon issues with really, really bad potholes and water in that area, which is damaging some of our trucks, etc. So that's what will be going on during this meeting. So that is, bless you, Denise. So that is my report from the chair. And I'd now like to move on to item B on reports, which is our restaurant report from John Lloyd. So John, if you'd like to unmute yourself and say hello.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Yes.
Hi, Jen.
All right. So, restaurant report. With the end of the fall and the onset of the off-season for the restaurant, we have some time to reflect on the lessons we've learned since April. We have lived up to the obligations stated in our proposal back in the beginning of the year. We have stayed open 7 days a week for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, operating both the restaurant and the halfway house, as well as the cart during peak days. Consumer reviews have been very positive on the customer experience front, and we've been very fortunate to get a dedicated and conscientious professional team headed by Chef Chris and Laurie Chariot, providing a reassuringly stable and regular presence at the restaurant. Revenues peaked in May for the restaurant, and they have slowly declined through October. And then from October onwards, they've kind of precipitously dropped. The restaurant will now stay open Wednesday through Sunday, 11 a.m. till 8 or 9 p.m., depending on the day. And the offerings available in the halfway house will be continuously available at the bar for the remainder of the golf season. That includes just all the regular hot dogs, snacks, coffee, soft drinks. But we're now kind of forced by the weather to look for an audience beyond the golfing membership and to entertain private bookings, and having introduced new fall winter menus and having increased our marketing budget to appeal to the local communities, we're now optimistic to get through the winter season relatively intact. One of the interesting facts of the Norwalk golfing trade is the disconnect we found between the tee sheet and restaurant revenue. I was talking with a friend of mine who lives in New Canaan, and he's been at Oak Hills golfer for the last 15 years. And he was sharing that there still remains a strong negative bias with the restaurant space amongst regular golfers who are more than familiar with the dramas of the past. Many of those that he plays with do not care to know about the next new operator. It's a fact that we've discovered. We've inherited a space that's been somewhat tainted by the past. Despite our best efforts, we've gone through innumerable days of a full golf course and an empty restaurant. A pure business analysis might suggest that the halfway house is the only food and beverage outlet the majority of the golfing community are actually looking for. Breakfasts, dinners, online ordering for the golf course, and takeout, all of which we've introduced this year, have been pretty underwhelming. We've worked hard through our own channels and with the partnership of Oak Hills as the interlocutor with messaging and signage, but it has obviously not been enough. For 2025, now the transition is behind us, we hope to reinforce the messaging to the core membership and the broader golfing community that for the restaurant to succeed, business has to be directed through it. With regards to outings, we look forward to learning what clear policy details Oak Hills will have with regards to contracting with outing organizers. Would love to know, the wording used in the official communications with them, the policy on check-ins, the training of rangers for enforcement, and we'd be happy to work with Oak Hills to develop a mutually beneficial policy. We really hope it should no longer be standard practice for golf events to bypass a fully staffed restaurant whose whole reason for being is to service the golfers and their events. We want to stay busy and we have to be profitable. The notable difference between Ridgefield Golf Course and Ridgefield, we're just finishing up our 9th year now. The difference between Ridgefield and Oak Hills is the way in which the restaurant gets used as a social club. This year in Ridgefield, we have hosted more than 25 golf parties for member associations, and that is not including the outings. Various annual tournaments, championships, one-off competitions, nine and dines, special events. The member groups engage with the restaurant and they allow us to put together food and drinks, a memorable event for them after their golf. And it is a vibrant clubhouse because of it. This year at Oak Hills, we have been approached twice that I'm aware of to put together an association event. And we really need help from the Oak Hills leadership here. More work is obviously needed to thaw relations with the restaurant space. Something is clearly going wrong when post-golf events are being celebrated elsewhere. And if it's something to do with us, and we have not received feedback to that end, but I'd love to hear it so we can fix it. But ending on a positive note, I'd like to extend our sincere gratitude to Jim Holiday, Paul Alexander, Steve Shepard, Jim Shell, all the members of the Park Authority and all the restaurant regulars for their support and patronage this year. The O'Dean's team, we're very proud about being at Oak Hills. We've made really good friendships, forming a new business. And we all recognize the exciting challenges and potential of the space for the winter and beyond. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
So John, thank you for your report. Speaking as someone who knows a little bit about your industry, our industry, I can feel for what you are going through. And I just don't want to speak for myself as the chair of the authority, but I can give you a couple of assurances when it comes to our outings next year. We are going to be on the same page with you. We have a year under our belt, which everybody knows that you're here, especially these people coming with the outings that have their own restaurants and want to provide their own stuff, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we're going to work with you in 2025 in enforcing, what we mutually agree upon, so we can help you, work with these outings and change them where necessary. So that's one thing I can assure you of. So just speaking for myself, I think you are somewhat victims of the past and the time it will take. There is no doubt in my mind you have a great staff, the people working there. I think the product you have is is excellent. There's some tweaking. There's always going to be tweaking. Okay. And what our goal is going to be is how can we get more people into the establishment? How can we work with our associations? How can we work with our people to get them to come and use you more? And I am personally committed to it, as well as I'm sure the rest of our authority members are.
Thank you very much.
And I would now like to open up. Does anybody else have any questions or comments for John?
Yeah, I'd like to comment, just say, John, every time I've eaten in the restaurant, the food's been very good and the staff has been very good. It's very interesting to hear you say that the associations had events there. I know Steve tried some Drive-In 9, type events and a couple of divot parties, but I'd be interested for you to work with Alan or whatever to talk more about how Richfield has association events and whether or not we can get a few of those going at the at Oak Hills in the new year. So that would be certainly interesting to understand how Richfield does it and what we can do to generate those types of events.
Thank you. Yeah, we would love to get some life into the place. After a tournament's taken place and people have something to celebrate. We want to be the de facto venue. By which people can have a drink and a little bit of food. And we'd love to put together an offering that has broad popular appeal.
I think
Okay.
I'd like
Like
to
to
say,
make,
if I could
go
say,
ahead.
I'd like to say that John and his staff are great. The food is fabulous. Our restaurant looks beautiful. And just speaking from a little experience, when I got there 2012, it wasn't an easy transition for Ed Ruiz or even me, with the Grillos there. And I think there is going to be a little bit of a transitional period. It's unfortunate. I think our golfers, because the restaurant was closed a couple times, or maybe there was some bad blood before, a lot of our golfers were used to leaving right from 18 to their parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's not helpful that the 18th green is right next to the parking lot. And I think some of our outings too, we had a couple years where we didn't have a restaurant, and in order to have an outing, I guess, we said, well, you guys can bring some food or bring this. And some of that stuff's been going on for decades.
Yep.
But I'm all in the favor of, having a strict protocol on, if you want to have an outing at Oak Hills, you really have to support our restaurant. And I think next year is going to be a really good year. Just, obviously I walk by all the time, and it's a little disappointing to me and a little embarrassing. And I'm not blaming Odean's at all, because I think you guys are great. I'm just a little disappointed that our golfers don't utilize that restaurant more on the Saturday, Sunday lunch times. And, maybe the world's changing, but I think it'd take a little bit, but I believe you guys are going to do well there.
I would like to just add that we're going to have a get together. I haven't spoken to John about this, so you're not being sandbagged here, but you'll appreciate it. But we're going to get together with the restaurant selection committee and key restaurant personnel to delve into some of these things and learn more from John about what has worked in Ridgefield, and just to get together the folks that were involved in selecting Odean's, and hopefully through our brainstorming, some good ideas will come up. I just wanted to add that as well. Thank you.
John, I just have a question about the social media part of it. I know I've heard of friends saying they've gotten on Facebook, some kind of advertisement about the restaurant. I haven't seen it in my Facebook. Has it gone out all over Norwalk in your social media campaign?
Yes, like we have a dedicated social media person that we contract with to promote at this point solely Oak Hills in an aggressive attempt to try and get a bit more traction locally.
Right.
So yes, it's just I'm not a social media expert by any stretch at all, so I
Right.
just have to leave it to the professionals. But it's just a question of posting regularly and posting to the right places. And unfortunately, as a business, there are some hard limits to how many times you can spam a group, like a local group who don't necessarily want to have businesses just cold calling them constantly. So we do rely on a bit of organic marketing to take place, and we are seeing some good results there, but it's just a slow process. And frankly, I think it may be the demographic as well, maybe are less reliant on some social media platforms, and maybe hard direct marketing is going to have a better result for us and getting into people's mailboxes. And we know that these things take time, but we also know that we've got to strike now and quickly to try and get some residual Christmas parties and parties through January. So
Well, I get it on my Facebook feed, and what I try to do is I try to pass it along, to get a little buzz going. I'm on a lot of, I love Norwalk sites and
yes.
Norwalk Now sites and this and that. And you see a lot of that, so I when I see something like Odine's had this family meal where you can get the family meal. And I try to pass it along to some of these other sites and say, hey, check this out. But I think if everybody did that, maybe, that would be the organic approach to do it. Um, and I do see, because I see these things online, and I'll go out and try one. That's how I found out about that Taste of Everest, the Nepali food. Somebody posted it on I Love Norwalk,
Yeah.
So that's a good way to do it, Um, but I think we all need to get it. I think Rich needs to. I don't know how I came onto my feed, but
I know you were getting them, Mary. I just
yeah.
I wasn't getting them myself. I'd be happy to do that too, but I don't get it.
Yeah, we don't want to take advantage of the mailing list that Oak Hills has, but I think on occasion it is appropriate to send out, for example, the brunch menu or the the winter season menu to golfers, because it might conceivably be of interest to them.
100%.
I actually think you could do that more. I don't think it's
I do as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other questions for John?
The only thing I have to add, John, is that your chicken BLT is the best sandwich I've ever had in my life.
Wow.
It's fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay.
Yeah, you're welcome.
John, thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Next, item C on the number 5 is a nature advisory. Mary.
Okay. Okay, I had my first meeting with my committee, and it went very well. We worked on the SWOTs. I learned that from Gary. Thank you very much. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And then we worked on some goals, and we actually got quite a bit accomplished for our first meeting, I think. And so we do have a vision statement, and we do have some short-term goals, and we're going to be starting to work on some long-term goals. And we talked about all kinds of things. We're going to start with we've already started with the fountain garden. We've done a lot of planting with the Norwalk Garden Club with the fountain garden, and we're going to continue to do that. And I'm working with that Mike Papa, who's the organic landscaper. We're going to do that demonstration lawn, low maintenance demonstration lawn, and right in front of the fountain garden. Probably Monday or Tuesday we might be starting that. And so I do have a couple questions. I think for Jim, do we have resources like topsoil or peat moss, or do we have any kinds of things like that available to us? Or how do we go about getting those things? That's one question I have.
I
And-
do have some topsoil, but it's all what has come out of where we put new cart paths a few years ago. So it's pretty bony, meaning it has a lot of rocks in it, and we have to sort through it. Otherwise, we'd have to order a load of topsoil, which is getting more and more expensive these days. It's probably gonna like a load would be like $700, $800.
And
And
how,
then,
how
as
much is
far
in
as
a
peat,
load?
a load is like 20 yards, 22 yards,
Yeah,
roughly.
we probably need about 15. We probably need about 15. We're gonna dig up that nasty lawn and turn it over and put a little more organic tilth in it. And
Yeah,
then put
good.
in the alternative seeds on the alternative lawn.
Yeah, that's
Um,
good. That's good because that soil is not very, very good.
Well,
And
what
then
what I understand is it's mostly fill. It was fill, a lot of fill from I-95 construction.
no, I think that actually that soil is original to the spot.
Oh,
I don't. The Great Lawn was fill.
Yeah.
The Fountain
Uh-huh.
Garden was original. It was long ago. It was created as a space on somebody's lawn that lived here, and
Right.
it
Well,
was never added to
right. Well,
correctly.
yeah, it should be fair. What we're putting in is blue fescue and wildflowers.
Okay.
And the whole idea is it's low mow, low maintenance, low water. And so it shouldn't need it doesn't need a real rich mixture. In fact, it
Sure.
probably doesn't want a real rich mixture. But we're gonna start to dig it up and tarp it. We're gonna tarp it to kill what's there and then do the planting. But we will need peat moss, straw, and about 15 yards of topsoil.
Well, peat and straw, I mean, we just have to buy it. We don't
Okay,
used up the last of my peat on a few
Okay.
tree plantings, and
okay. So we're gonna be starting that. And then we also talked about working on the legacy tree that's over by the tennis courts.
it's on my list.
Yeah, yeah. So the idea is to kind of start there and work on some of the vines that are taking over. And fall and winter is a good time to do that in some of the natural areas. So that would, and then the big issue is the trails. I walked the trails. I took some of my relatives I had visiting, and we walked the trails. And there are places where it's, first of all, it's hard to find them because of the leaves. What we can deal with that, but also there's that one section where you come up behind the dumpsters there in the employee parking lot, and it's downright dangerous. And that really does need to be addressed. So I talked to Robert. Robert and I met at City Hall. Thank you, Robert, for meeting with me. And he had some thoughts and ideas about grants and trails and that type of thing, because we really do need to address the trails. They've sort of been neglected, and we do need to address those. And Rich has been looking at the grants that have come in so far. And I guess a lot of them we kind of missed the deadline. Is that
It's
correct?
either we missed the deadline or they're matching grants, and without the matching money, there's not much you can do.
Uh-huh.
Mostly it's those two things, yeah.
Yeah.
Is
But the
that
deadline won't
is that
change, but-
matching money, is that external money or internal money?
I don't know. They just say it's matching the grants you have to supply. I don't think it would matter as long as there would be some money from some, but I'm guessing. I think there's always a contact person on each of those grants. And so there's someone you can call and ask more specific questions like that.
Sometimes you can sometimes you can use in kind. money as a match. It doesn't have to be a direct one-to-one. It could be money you're using for something similar. So you really have to, Rita's our grant person in Parks is in the city is a good resource, but I know it doesn't always have to have money. It doesn't have to always be a one-to-one. It can be in kind or money you're spending on a similar project that is internal already in your budget. So it's a lot of ways to meet the match.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we
anything else,
want,
Mary?
we want to work on the trails specifically. Because I think that might be why people are not coming. Because the trails are not in that great a shape. And then we need to work on the website. We're gonna put, kind of update that, and the kiosk needs updating, and just about everything kind of needs to be kind of updated and refreshed. And we need to get on the social media and make it known. Similar
Mary,
to
when you talk about the website, do you mean the Oak Hills website, or is there a separate site for the nature trail?
I
There's
think it's the Oak Hills website.
There's a sub menu for nature if you go to the main Oak Hills website.
Okay.
So
I think also there are specific grants for trails, but as I think Richard alluded to, we missed some deadlines, but they will come back around. They will come back around.
Yeah.
So I'll keep my eye on it. I'll keep my eyes on it too.
We'd appreciate that. Yeah.
I
that would be
just wonder,
great.
Mary, is it worth trying to get some kind of quotes for some of this work? If it's the stairs near the exit or some of the other work, it'd be nice having a figure to know what it would cost
Right.
to do the work, because I think we're kind of going blindly without that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's someone, if we could try to get some kind of quote from someone to do something that would really make a difference. And then we could, I think, rally around that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. When you're doing the grants, you need to flesh out, how much it's going to cost.
Yeah.
And definitely we need to do that. I have worked with this fellow called Anthony Zemba. And he has his own concern now. And that's what he does, is he goes out and he'll do an eco assessment. And then he'll tell you, okay, you should put trails here and this, and he might be one to help, put a framework of how much it's going to cost to do these kinds of things.
Even if we could do it in sections too, like the stairs is separate maybe from the rest of it, just so we could get an idea.
Right. Just an aside, I want to get a hold of, I think it's Randy Avery, our lawyer, and talk to him again, because I've heard all these things about if you improve it, then you're more liable or something. And I don't understand that at all. So I need to get a handle on that. But I had heard, and I don't know, that one of the rangers, I can't remember his name, he was there yesterday with the when we did the bird count, and he said, the stairs that come down in front of the restaurant, they're sort of, kind of, and there's no railing there, and apparently he fell. Are you aware of this?
there is a railing there on both sides, I think, actually. Maybe not in the middle we're talking about.
Yeah.
No, not in the front. I was looking at it. We were standing there looking at it. And
Oh, the
Concrete walkway.
the walkway.
the walkway, yes. Yeah, and he fell, and apparently he broke a finger and did something to his shoulder. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
So I mean, maybe there's several areas that we need to look at, because I mean, if that is a liability, if somebody's,
Mary, as I mentioned in our meeting last week, I'm happy to introduce you to Randy, and we can have invite him to a meeting of ours where we can ask him all these things.
I think we need to.
So guys, if I could just take a little time out here, I think we're getting a big bogged down into operational things, and I think what we kind of need to do, if we can, is if we have issues let's talk to, Mary, if you have some, which is great, you've got these really good ideas. Talk to Jim directly, about them, one-on-one, just talk, Jim Shell and stuff like that.
Okay.
So we can get these operational things done outside of the monthly meetings, and then when we come to the monthly meetings, we're reporting on what we've done. And so
Okay.
I
Gotcha.
really appreciate the enthusiasm. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to, do it, but I just think let's talk about the operational things with the people, within the club that manage them and stuff like that.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I'm getting the lay of the land here. I
appreciate
apologize.
it. Does
Alan, can I ask a question? Because Mary's got some really great ideas
mhm.
and whatever. How do we organize, her thoughts into what we're budgeting or what the goals are for the current fiscal year ending 25? How we relate all that to the long range planning and those types of things. So I don't know how that all flows. I mean, it's great to hear that we're doing these things.
Sure.
But are they all marching on the same? Are they marching down the path that we plan to do?
Sure.
Know what
Well,
I
look,
mean?
Gary, you're a finance guy, similar to me. So the budget's in place till the end of June. That's not to say we can't find some money, which is,
Right.
but we need to know kind of some ideas what we're looking at on a short-term, long-term basis. When we could do the budget for next year, obviously 25, we'll obviously start to put some more money based upon our assumptions, but we're kind of coming at it halfway through the year now. So what we might need to do is Mary sits down with Mark. Okay, well, what are we looking at? What have we got? Obviously we're doing well from a revenue point of view, but we can carve some money out between now and the end of the year. And how will you spend it? I think that's what we need to look at.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
just
but go ahead.
one quick thing, just Mary, if you and Jim Shell start talking, and Jim, you purchased a few things, just write nature on there for me, and I'll code it to the nature line so that your other budgets don't get hit. And we've got $4,000 for this fiscal year for nature and open space.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is not a lot of money.
Yeah, Jim, I'd like to sit down with you at some point.
Sure,
if that's
sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
guess where I'm coming from is not only do we need a numbers budget, but we might need a words budget as well as to what we're going to accomplish with our dollars in the fiscal year.
Okay. Sounds good. Any other questions for Mary? Thank you, Mary. Very good report. Next, tennis, Denise.
Tennis. Hi, everybody. Let's see. Well, obviously our season is finished. We have the fencing project going on right now for the courts 1 through 6. There has been a bit of a delay. They had trouble getting I guess the fencing is back ordered. So they prepared everything as far as the poles. They did all the painting. We're waiting for the wire mesh to come in so that they can install the wire mesh with the gates. I don't know. I don't suspect that will take too long. They seem to be working, when they are there, they worked pretty fast. There is a little bit of damage on the courts from the machine and stuff, but the owner of the company guaranteed that he would take care and fix everything back to the state that it was in when they started the project. So Jim has been totally aware of that and has spoken with them. So that's something that, after they're finished, that will be done. So then we can submit for the rest of the 50% of the grant with the USTAs. So I'm hoping that, within 2 weeks that'll be finished. And I know Jim Holiday, you want to work on the submittal of the grant and everything. Happy to help with you with that, of course. And let's see, the young youth program that we had done, we brought in about $2,900, which is now in the supporters. So that was a nice little contribution. The program ran well. The kids were very pleased, and the pro that we had did a great job. So I'm very happy with the way that turned out. And that's, the courts 7 and 8 are still open right now. The the nets are still up. People kind of play here and there, so that's, you know, we'll leave those 2 courts open for a little while longer. But I think basically probably by Thanksgiving, I think we'll consider probably closing everything down. And I think that that's, you know, the report is pretty simple for this month.
Any questions for Denise? There
Just
being none,
to mention that we did add double the number of purloins to the pergola in the last 3 weeks, so we got a lot more shade in that area, thanks to an anonymous donor.
that's great. Thank you, Rich. Next item, item E, supporters of Oak Hills, Jerry Crowley.
Yes, I don't have a formal report tonight, but just to let you know that Mark and I will get together at the end of next month and put the numbers together for the calendar year.
Thank you. Any questions, Jerry?
Yes.
Jerry, always nice to see you. Thank you for attending.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so next item F, long-term planning. Gary Leeds. Thank you, Gary.
So I just want to say thank you to all the people who stepped up and are leading the various groups of golf and tennis and nature. We okay? Jim on community, all right, and some surveys, etc. So I'm excited to see everybody moving forward with these things. Alan and I met this week with TJ, who's got some really good ideas percolating in his area. So I want to start coordinating with everybody as we go forward. So I just want to say that, you know, the teams are there, the goals are getting put together, the visions, the SWATs, and, you know, I keep emphasizing with each of the leaders that, you know, please do a clean sheet, you know, look at every possibility, and then we'll start trying to form a short-term and long-term goal from all the great ideas. I will try and meet with all the leaders during December and also give a short-term 2 or 3 month objective so we can get through some stuff by the end of the winter.
I'd like to thank Jerry for all the hard work so far. It's a lot. I just spent, you know, 2 or 3 meetings, but Jerry went to, you know, Gary went to every one, and it's a lot of work, and it is appreciated. Does anybody have any questions for Gary at this moment in time? Okay. So now we move into probably, you know, kind of the meat of the meeting, which is obviously Paul, golf professional, you know, helped by Mark, you know, with the visuals to talk about, you know, pricing fees for the next fiscal year, starting, you know, obviously this upcoming year in the areas of, you know, membership cards, the actual fees that we charge, and also some issue with the unlimited pass that we have. So, so Paul, let's take it away.
Okay, thank you, Alan. Well, very similar to the last 4 golf seasons. We've made some minimal increases to our rates at Oak Hills Park. And I think these rates are really fair. Typically, we just do $1 or $2 really across the board. And keep in mind that I have a feeling these minimal increases don't even really keep up with inflation or the cost of living index. So rather than, you know, charge too much, I think we're in the frame of mind that we're just going to keep golfers coming to the golf course and keep our utilization rates really high. So, and Mark can jump in whatever he wants, but if you look at our charts here, we just made some, we really had way too many categories and just just too much going on with this. So we omitted the early buying of a membership at a discount. We also got rid of Twilight. So we're just trying to reduce some of these categories, obviously help maximize some revenue, but it'll make things easier in the golf operations part of it, as well as support. And so these are fairly nominal increases. I think the only place we made a little bit of a larger increase was for the junior golfers. Our juniors know that they've been getting a really good deal at Oak Hills. It's below kind of what some of the other courses charge. I have a big, I'm really in touch with all our junior golfers and their families, and I really don't think any of them will be opposed to this at all. We're still giving them a really fair deal, keeping it very fair to our seniors, and just a modest increase like we always do for the membership and even our non-resident or resident adult golfers. And then we did decide as a team that we thought we would probably do away with our unlimited pass. We just really have.
Wait, Paul, if you don't mind, before we jump to passes, I just want to, just down here, you'll see that there's no longer an early bird special for discount ID card purchases. So I'll just throw on real quick, can everybody see the change in the page here to 2024?
Mm.
So you see how we had different pricing at January 1 versus March 1. And we did away with that, as well as Paul said, a couple of categories, which are the twilight times. So if you look at this note right here, we eliminated twilight, changed off peak to be 75% of peak times, just to have some uniformity, some kind of logic behind it. And then anybody who comes in that last few hours of the day, who says, well, your off peak is still a little bit too high, it's only an hour of light, well, they get a 9-hole rate, which we all thought was pretty fair, and it was very similar to the twilight rates anyway. So why have two rates, that are practically the same?
So you're taking away that early January to what, I guess it was a month that you would sell an earlier pass at a discounted rate. You're just going to sell the pass at the same price.
Yeah.
From the day of sale on. Okay.
Yeah. There's usually no, the only ones that really run in to get the passes on January 1st or 2nd are the unlimited pass holders. And as we'll explain in a few minutes, I don't think that will be the case going forward, which I guess takes us to the annual passes here.
So do you prorate when people purchase a pass? Do people purchase a pass like in June or July?
Well, unlimited passes are only offered January 1 through February, the end of February, just for the first 2 months of the year. And an exception can be made from time to time if Paul has the right to kind of say, yeah, you know what, we can go one more if somebody really needs it. That's what we've done in the past. But sorry, if you're talking about all the regular discount ID cards, yeah, they're sold all the way up through the mid-year, which is the end of June, and then I think this year, Paul, like right in it wasn't July 1st, but it was right around there. We did a 50% off for the second half of the year, because once you get into July, it's unless you just moved here and you're an avid golfer, it's not really worth purchasing a pass at that point.
Okay.
And just to give people a flavor, basically what we're talking about. So if you're a resident and you want to buy a permit, a membership for it was $135 this year. It's going to $140. So it's a $5 increase, which is 3.5%. If you're a senior, and you buy the membership, it's $125, and that's going to go to $130. So it's an extra $5 increase as far as the membership is concerned. And you can't buy it earlier, but what Mark was saying, not so many people do buy it earlier anyway. So we're not, hopefully not going to hurt too many people. So that's on the membership side. Do we want to talk about the daily fee rates as well? What the actual people pay? What are they going to be paying to play? Do we talk about that, Mark, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really see the screen too well, but Mark could probably let you know, but it's just, it's really $1 or $2 more in a couple of these areas other than some junior golf.
Yep. Yeah, if you, can everybody see the screen now that shows the increases in dollars on the left and the increases in percentages on the right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's where it is. As we said, generally $1 to $2. There are occasions, as I think Paul mentioned, with juniors, you'll see a $4 increase, an $8 increase because, well, again, Paul, this was you. You said you looked at a couple of the courses and you heard some comments and feedback. We were well underpriced on there, and we do a lot for juniors. So this is nothing. This is just kind of bringing us up to where it should be, as opposed to trying to gouge, a bunch of 8-year-olds. That's not the mentality here.
Yeah, and a majority of our juniors play during the week. They're pretty busy on the weekends. Sometimes they come out with the families, but play a lot during the week.
So what does it mean? So if you're a golfer, a regular golfer, and you play, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you're paying $40 this year. You're going to pay $42 next year. It's a $2 increase. If you're a senior, you play Monday through Friday, regular, you're going to pay $28 for the course. We're going to $29. It's about a 3% increase overall. Nothing, too expensive. And then, when you come to the weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if you're a regular golfer, you pay $54. You're going to pay $56. So it's $1 here, it's $2 there. It's not a lot of money. It's keeping up with the maybe inflation, and also minimum wage is going to go up. So it's nothing. The other thing I believe is card fees are staying the same. So
Yep.
We're not increasing the card fees. It's the last year of the 5 years that we're going to have them. So we're proposing to keep them the same, right, guys?
Yes.
Absolutely. And the only other thing I would say is just, we try to get a little bit more uniformity in regard to, the non-resident passes that are purchased. They're $100 above the resident passes, and then once you purchase that, they get resident rates. And we used to have that, then we kind of went off a little bit. If you look over here at the 2024 season, they were a little bit off. So we just try to kind of bring it back into a nice little orderly table. And as we said before, without the twilight columns, and you'll notice also the city employee and property owner has been the category has been eliminated. Anybody that falls into that category will simply be issued a resident permit.
All three of them, right? So the one thing we haven't spoken about is the unlimited annual pass timing, the 9 days, 8 days, and 7 days. So one of you guys want to explain what our proposal is on that?
I can explain, and Mark can.
Yeah. Do you see the? Can you see it?
Yep. So basically, what we were thinking, and as everybody might remember, during COVID, we didn't have any money in the bank, and when we got that annual pass, that saved Oak Hills. We're doing really well now, and we don't need the upfront money anymore. We want to try to maximize our revenue on the weekends, just like every other golf course, every other public golf course. That's when, we really get the bulk of our revenue on the weekends, Friday. And those are the high demand times. We also are thinking that we'd really like to be fair to all the long standing golfers. I mean, we've had people play Oak Hills for 40 years or more. And unfortunately, if they don't buy the unlimited pass with that extra day, they can never play before 10 o'clock anymore. And so, we have roughly 52 unlimited pass holders, but we have 1,250 members.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't seem really fair to the majority of our golfers. We've also seen a little bit of a sense of entitlement by a few of our unlimited pass holders. It's not necessarily that common in the public golf world to really have annual passes. And we thought that we would try it this year and see how it works. And if for whatever reason it's not great, we can always go back to do something different next year.
So what Paul is saying is, if you have the annual pass, these 52 people can book their tee times 9 days in advance. and they all grab the 6 to 8 a.m. in the morning, pretty much every one of them. If you are a membership, you buy a membership, you can book 8 days in advance. And if you are just not a member, you can book 7 days in advance. So what we're saying is the people with the unlimited membership now are the same as the regular members, and they can't book those prime tea times because just because they paid for the annual pass.
I'd like to make one more comment relative to what Alan just mentioned, and that is that there are several municipal courses in our area that offer an unlimited pass. Not one of them has the extra booking day. We are literally the only club in Fairfield County that has offered an additional advantage to a select group of people to book an extra day in advance. And it really boils down to inequity. We got 43 golfers with the unlimited pass and 1,257 members who are unable to, as Paul pointed out, get on the tee sheet on Saturday and Sunday and sometimes Friday until 10 o'clock in the morning.
And the only change we did make was obviously take that 1 day away, but the prices remain the same. We did not touch any of the prices.
Yep.
So these are basically management team recommendations. We will not vote on these until the next meeting. The next meeting is a public meeting. I'll talk more about that later, but this is for informational purposes for you guys to digest. I suggest if you want to have a copy of this, get hold of Mark. We can send them out to the authority members. It might be a good idea to do that anyway, I think, Mark,
Yeah, I'll take care of that. Thank you.
To send everybody out so they can see them. And I know it's a lot to digest, but are there any comments, questions that management team?
Yeah, I have a question. So you're saying roughly that if you're a resident or non-resident, 1,200 people are all able to book time starting at 6 a.m. a week, 8 days before.
8 days.
8 days before. So you have 1,200, whoever is a card holder, either a resident or non-resident.
Yep.
Okay, and you're not giving the association people any advantage either.
No, that's not true. The public can book 7 days out. Members can book 8 days out.
Well,
And-
when you talk about a member, that's a resident and non-resident people who have bought a permit.
Correct.
An annual pass, you mean? Yes.
No,
Yeah,
no.
It's a member.
No,
It's a membership.
Both are membership types.
Okay, so resident or non-resident?
Yes, because the non-resident pays more money, I think, right?
They paid, so we have 1,200 people, okay, who can book 8 days in advance.
Right, and 43 who can book 9 days in advance.
That's not going to happen in the new year. Okay, we're eliminating that.
No.
Well,
Well,
President,
Gary's got it
not
right.
7 days. We have 3 categories.
Okay,
Nine.
got you, yeah.
I don't understand the 3 categories. Can you please explain that again?
Yeah, and we are actually limiting one of the categories, but the general public, whether you're from across the street or from California, you can book 7 days out.
Okay,
Our members, which there are over 1,200,
Discount ID card holders.
8 days out, and then the unlimited pass holders had the 9 days.
but you're not doing that in the new year. So that's eliminated. So
That
now
is our
we're gonna have in the
recommendation.
new year, we're going to have 1,200 people who can book 8 days in advance, whether you're a resident or non-resident.
The same as it is now, yes.
Same as it is now, yes.
Okay, and you're not giving the men's clubs or the women's clubs any advantage at all, either, maybe you might want to think about the men's clubs and the women's clubs at 6 a.m. People who belong to those have 1 hour to get their times in, and then all the other members have time to encourage more people to join the men's and women's clubs. I don't know, you might want to think about time. It's not so much a day, but here are a core of your people, okay, who you might want to think about giving them at least some time advantage versus people who don't belong to those associations. Okay.
Gary,
I want
Paul
to say
does
this,
take,
I did think about that, and I did discuss this with some other professionals. And one thing I do like about Oak Hill is we do have a nice core group of regular customers, longtime locals have been playing there. For the women, we do block out, the Oak Hills Women's Association, we do block out times for them on Wednesday, every Wednesday. And years ago, our men's club had 500 people. Before COVID, it was at 300, and we fell below 200. Now we're up over 200, and maybe we could do a similar thing where we could block out a couple tee times, and this could be discussed for the Oak Hill Men's Golf Association. You must be a member, and you have to play in the tournament that day, and that could secure some tee times and help grow our Oak Hill Men's Golf Association again. So that is a possibility.
I would certainly consider that because, you had a core group of people who took your unlimited because yes, they do. They're the ones that book that weekend time between 6 and 8. And most of them, I assume, are part of the men's and women's clubs. So you're really, you may have a group of people who are very unhappy. So I suggest you take a look at least people who belong to those associations, and that might help grow those associations somewhat.
Maybe we could ask those people who want an extra day to do it from the restaurant, so they have to go in there and buy something.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, at 5 o'clock on Thursday night, we all go to the restaurant and put our name in a hat, right? I think that's the best solution to your idea. The other thing, Mark, I ask you is, have you modeled out these rates and said how much more golf revenue we're going to have in the new year?
I think it's on there.
Yeah.
Where's that?
Can you see it now? I just paged down.
I don't know where to look. I see $73,000. That's it.
Okay, so an average of $1.75 increase per round at a modest assumption of 42,000 revenue rounds, which most likely would be higher than that, comes out to $73,000 increase in revenue. On top of that, the average $5 increase on discount ID cards times an estimated 1,200 discount ID cards sold is $6,000. So call it $80,000 increase just from the price increases.
Okay, is that enough to cover our increase in operating costs?
Operating costs, yes. Capital costs, no. As we know.
I'm saying operating costs.
Yeah, it should be. That should more than cover it.
More than cover. So our salaries are not going to go up that much. Our maintenance and things like that.
Well,
so we're going to stay within $80,000 when we look at expenses.
Well, this is what I say every year. Part of the problem that we have here is we're a fiscal year end with a calendar pricing year. So I don't do budget for another 5-6 months. So I'm not looking at all. That takes months to do. So what you're asking for won't be done for months. Generally speaking, I mean, we don't have any more. Well, actually, the minimum wage will probably be going up a little bit, but everyone will get an increase, but not $80,000 worth. We don't have that large of a staff. Prices are always going up, but inflation has come down quite a bit lately. So we should hopefully not be seeing a huge increase on expenses. And as I'm going to talk about in my report, we're right on target with expenses versus budget. So we're doing very well. So and we're way over budget on revenue. So overall, we're doing very well. This extra $80,000 a year on top of what we're currently doing, I see no problem at all.
And Gary, this is just golf. We have tennis revenue on top of that, and we also have restaurant revenue, there are other revenues as far as now, the tennis revenue will probably go up a bit. So I'm not I understand what you're getting at, but there are other revenues as well, I think.
And
Well, we're
even
going to have extra expenses to spend on nature. Okay, this year, let's say $5,000 to $10,000. So that adds costs.
Can
you
I,
know,
can I just say one more thing to
Yeah.
Gary's concern about money, which just caught my eye, and maybe Paul or Mark can answer this. It strikes me that the non-resident discount card and the non-resident the senior discount card, it strikes me as it's a bargain. It looks like it's only $100 more than residents. And is that typically the way we've and I'm going back to tennis, knowing that for a tennis unlimited pass, the non-residents pay something like 170 more for the tennis. This seems like a real bargain for non-residents, and our non-residents come from very affluent communities. So I'm just kind of questioning the non-residents. It seems like a particularly bargain for a non-resident.
I can address that, Rich, to some extent. The cards for the other communities are considerably lower. So they're doing a better job of attempting the discount cards.
Is lower?
Yes, it's much lower. So they're making more of an attempt to pull golfers from communities outside of their own. We have a different model, and we still pull golfers from other communities.
Well, I would think so, because to me, it's a bargain. I mean, and you're pulling from very wealthy communities that can, to my mind, could pay more than much more than what the residents pay.
Jim, do you have?
We do have to.
Jim, do you have a schedule of that at this point?
I do. I don't have it in front of me, Gary, but I have a schedule of the pass rates for all the other clubs.
I mean, I'm just going back to thinking, like, even with the beach passes, I don't know, Robert knows better this. If you want to go to Calf Faster Beach as a non-resident, boy, you pay a lot more than you pay for a resident. Absolutely. So I'm just saying, there's some other things within the park, even for the tennis, that are much more, the non-residents pay a proportionately higher rate than what this is.
I think what would be good would be just to find out how many non-resident adult discount cards we sell.
I'd be interested.
Non-resident senior discount cards, because we're talking about, 5, 10, 15, 20 people. It's not really significant.
Oh, I agree.
If we're talking about a lot of the 1,200, if 50% are non-resident, then it's a different deal.
Absolutely.
I think what Jim was saying was that he's went out and gone to other places, and other golf courses charge less than we do for the non-resident.
But here's my thinking. Other golf courses they're in very affluent communities. Sure, they want to, and my guess is have higher rates, so they want to attract people from Norwalk. That's a different scenario than what we have in Norwalk.
Got it. Yep.
Yes. I mean, I agree with what Richard's saying. And a good example is, we built 21 pickleball courts, and our rates are so low that most of the people playing on our pickleball courts are from other communities whose rates are high. So they come in from other communities to play. So and our parking for non-residents is very high, and they're not taxpayers. So they need to pay their share when they come in, because things cost money. But what I was going to ask is, has there ever been an economist, a pricing economist, look at our fees and at all historically?
No, just benchmarking.
But you haven't had a pricing consultant come in and look at your fees based upon elasticity or anything like that? We haven't had that, right?
Not in the 7 years I've been here.
Okay. Now, one of the things that I pride myself on is knowing objectively what fees and charges the market can bear. Still giving some access to folks that can't afford, but I don't think you have to do it yearly. But one of the things I've done at least every 2 to 5 years is had a recreational economist come in, look at our fees, and do a fee study. So when it's presented to, it's not subjective. It's an objective look at your surrounding communities, your income levels, the people that are there, and some interesting things can happen with those kinds of folks that are really knowledgeable and really good at not only doing this but setting up an ongoing model. I know we have a model here, but it's good from a person that does this all the time around the country, every 4 or 5 years, just to save enough money to bring them in and really look. It really pays off. It really pays off. So I'm not saying you got to do it now, but I think it's something we should do, in the next few years, couple of years, or maybe
Something to think
Well,
about. Yeah, that's great.
Robert, I think that's a great idea, Robert, and that'll probably fold well into our long-term planning. Because obviously we can't do it now for this. We're on a tight deadline, but long-term planning. If you bring in one of these guys, this is what we're charging. Well, this
Absolutely.
is what you could charge if you had. You know what I'm trying to say? So
I just finished a fees and charges study from a firm out in Chicago. So we're going to be recommending new fees to the Common Council this year, based upon an economic model, financial model, but also on some price elasticity variables. So it's going to be real interesting.
Okay. So
I could say something. I think the membership, it's hard to charge more. I really think it's going to be hard to charge that membership fee more. I want to remind people, not too long ago, our course wasn't in great shape. The whole facility wasn't in great shape. It was hard to charge more, even another $1 or $2 for a daily fee. The golf course is looking great. We've made some incredible improvements, and maybe in the future we could charge more for the non-resident daily fee.
But Paul, I just want to mention, the non-resident adult discount card didn't go up at all on this. There was no increase whatsoever. I think that's silly.
I think 20, if I'm off the top of my head, less than 20% of our memberships are to non-residents, and it does seem extremely low to me.
Well, it doesn't. I don't know the numbers.
I think a lot of the revenues coming in from a lot of non-residents who are not members coming in and paying the full fee. And just so everybody knows, in 2014 is when we started updating our booking. We had no third-party booking prior to 2014, so it was just Norwalk people. And I think a lot of the non-residents help bring in a lot of extra revenue for us.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. I don't think these recreational economists actually come in their motive is not to just come in and increase prices. Their motive is to move prices around and look at different variables and adjust things so that you maximize revenues where you can maximize revenue. And they do this all the time I've been in finance for all my life, but they come up with stuff I've never even imagined. And so it's always helped me. It helped me to really, it helped me to bring the Seattle Aquarium into a world, beef them up to be a world-class aquarium where they were just a mom and pop place. These economists came in, just gave us some really good ideas, and our golf courses as well. So if they don't come in with it's not the intention just to increase prices, because really politicians don't like to increase prices. They don't. But their thing is to set up a model where the model continues to develop and you will bring in, because they're looking at the audiences and maximizing those audiences. And so that's what they do.
No, that's great to hear, Rob. And I think, like Alan said, we can definitely put that into our long-term plan and do that over the next couple of years. And Rich, Rich, we have another month before we need to present this for real in the meeting. So, Jim, Paul, and I, we put this together. So we'll talk after the meeting offline about your suggestion.
If you can identify the number of non-residents, that'll help too.
I think it's a very good point. And I think the good reason we do this is so we can do some more research and take a look and see. So does
So
anybody else?
Alan, yeah,
Yes,
one
please.
more thing before, Jim was going to have a meeting at Oak Hills, and he postponed it. Is the thought still to have such a meeting before our December meeting?
I don't know. Maybe we should ask the authority members. You know, we do have the meeting. We have a public meeting next in you know, whenever it is, the December the
19th.
December the 19th. I wasn't too sure what the idea of having a meeting with the members to discuss this beforehand was. So I asked Jim to postpone the meeting he was going to have before this meeting. I don't know what the thoughts are about that.
When
Anybody?
you say the members, do you mean the golf membership? What are, or us?
Jim, do you want to talk about this, Jim Holiday?
Yes, Denise, it is for the people that it will directly affect, the golfers. It
So what
was
was the-
basically, it was a forum, not dissimilar to this one, where we would discuss the recommendations that are being made by the management team. Period.
So we would present it to the golfers, what we're presenting, or what we plan to present. Is what you
Yes, it would be an opportunity for them to share their opinions on our recommendations to the authority. It's just an open forum. They support, they keep this club going. Without their money, without their playing golf, we don't, you know, we'd be back to the situation Paul alluded to earlier. I just thought it was a good idea to share with the people that support this club what we're considering for rate increases for 2025.
And would the authority members attend this, or is this just with you and that team, the members?
Jennifer, if you want to come and take a beating that we're going to take, you can join
Well,
us.
But the fact remains that they all know that we're having our meeting, and every year that there's a price increase, and that they can attend this meeting and listen up right now instead of.
Yeah.
Right. They can also get this information because it's on YouTube. You know,
Right.
I don't know if I want to have a meeting.
They can also attend the public meeting too.
Correct, which is the.
So this is a public meeting also.
No, I understand, but I mean, we're going to have a public meeting, and that's going to be announced as a public meeting, not just right?
Well, this
Correct,
is,
yes.
no, but Denise, it's no different than this one. It's just that you are going to vote on these rates in December.
Jim, there is a slight difference. The only difference is that because it is what Denise is referring to, an open forum, I have to put an ad in the paper to announce that and we have to put something up on the website a certain amount of time before our meeting to inform everyone that this is going to happen in December for price increases. That's the only difference. Otherwise, yes, it is a regular meeting.
So what you have to say, Mark, it has to be no more than 14 and 7 days before the meeting, but not 14 days more in advance. A public notice for people to attend if they so wish.
Yes. Are you reading right off of the definition, I believe?
I just wrote that. Yeah. So,
well, I think that it's important that I point out when I spoke to Randall Avery about this, he did not allude to any special requirements. So, Mark, I'm sure that you speak
requirements, Jim. I just pulled it from the actual authority. So it is a special meeting and it has to be put in the paper and stuff like that, I think.
Thank you.
I'll let you know. Okay.
So go back to this meeting. To me, there's a mix. It's risky, and I mean, I like the idea of being transparent and open to and giving the golfers that have these passes an opportunity to be there, and it may even help the restaurant somewhat. But at the same time, I think it could be very controversial and may make life even more difficult. So I have mixed feelings about the meeting.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which way to go.
I don't think.
You're
I don't
gonna
think
hear
we should-
about a whole lot of other stuff. You're not just gonna hear about the rate increase. That's, an open forum is going to give kind of people a chance to talk about other things too, I think.
I think that's important. I think it's important for me to hear that.
Okay. Are there any more questions at this moment in time on the rates that we've spoken about that we can, management team can answer?
I just have a question. When is our cart lease up? Mark,
The end of next year,
the end of
Fiscal year?
next
the fiscal year or the calendar year?
I think the
calendar.
yeah, I think it was technically signed somewhere in December, so it'll be about a year from now.
And we have to we release everything, return everything, and then purchase new carts.
Yes.
Lease new carts. Lease new carts. Yep.
carts.
Yes, that would be the
Yes,
case.
we do.
Okay.
Are there any further questions for management team concerning?
Just a quickie. And the $20 cart fee is what's competitive with our surrounding courses, correct?
I believe so, yeah.
Competitive. We're a little more expensive, but it's roughly competitive, yeah.
And our
Okay.
golf carts are newer than some and in better condition. And we have the GPS units that are expensive.
Okay. Any other further questions? Thank you, management team, for putting together this proposal. If anybody does have any further questions they'd like to have answered, please contact Mark or Paul. Paul, I don't know if there's anything briefly you want to say in the rest of your report. We can probably keep it short if that's okay, but anything else to say at this moment in time?
Make it real quick. We're going to see, today is pretty much the end of the season a little bit. We're going to see some golfers coming up. We have only 23 staff members. Our shifts are getting limited. We'll still get Golf Now customers. And going back to, I'm sure some of you might be aware, but we are in a contract that's coming up, and Jim Holiday could talk a little if he likes, but we had Golf Now. We are going to maintain Golf Now booking engine, but we're switching up to 4UP for support. They've been with us, training us. They're going to give us so much better support, and we will be saving some money as far as trade time. So I'm suggesting we're going to see a large increase in our revenue next year for Oak Hills. And again, I just want to say every year it gets better and better, but our staff appreciation day was really good. We had a nice golf tournament. And on October 24th, we went to Ishota. Thank everyone who attended. It was great to see 5 authority members there. And we had a good time at Ishota. I think we're going to come over to Odine's next year. Keep it kind of.
Yeah.
Should.
I can support that. Well, I think we should do that.
But I will say, in all my many years here, it's been incredible. These last 6 weeks, today was the first rain out we've had since August 16th. And I think we did really well all of October and some of November due to the lack of rain and the warm temperatures. So it's all in all, it's been a really good year.
Any questions? Any further questions for Paul?
Yeah, I have one.
Mhm.
So Paul, when you book the outings and, they come and they book and they secure a date, do they mention anything about the restaurant, or do we offer information about the restaurant? Is there?
Well, I've had a lot of experience with outings, and I'm fairly firm. I'm going to show John the contract tomorrow. Big block letter says no alcohol allowed premises whatsoever. I know they had a transition this year, and next year is going to be different. And again, I think we had some problems with outings because the restaurant wasn't open, and we had to accommodate them. So they did bring some of their own stuff, but I'm adamantly opposed to that. And anytime anyone's interested in an outing, restaurant for lunch, dinner, breakfast, heavy hors d'oeuvres, or barbecue with the turn.
I mean, is that a verbal thing, or do we give some literature out, like do when you
Um,
get these things, do we have, or does the restaurant have literature to give out? I don't know, just kind
Pretty
of.
much, you know, if they don't agree that,
Yes, yes,
I might not
they
send them a
do.
contract. And then we put them in touch with the restaurant, and we do have Jim Holiday here now who helps facilitate that.
Paul, aren't you redoing the contract too, to put this wording in there?
Oh, yeah. Yep. I think it needs a little update for sure.
Denise, to answer your,
But it's
to answer your question, Denise, we absolutely promoted the restaurant in our initial communications with all of the outings last year.
Okay.
Period. We do not have any, we don't force them to use the restaurant. And we are considering doing something in that area, but we haven't decided exactly, requesting that they have at least one meal at the restaurant. I think that we'll be discussing this in the next 30 days, because typically Paul sends out contracts January 1st.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Denise. Any further questions for Paul?
I just want to say to Paul, as we end of the year, you know, kudos to you for all those rounds. And I have to say, I got to know a lot more of the golf staff this year, and you do a great job hiring. I think the golf staff there is just absolutely terrific. Every time I'm just always blown away how nice they are and how helpful they are. You do a great job in hiring, so I appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, it's really nice of you to say, and it's not always easy, especially during COVID, and obviously minimum wage, and I've relied on some people under 20 and a lot over 65. But again, I did say this at our staff appreciation day, but this is the best staff that we've had. And, you know, it's not always me. I think these people, they're from Norwalk. They're all good friends. We have a lot of little sub-families on our staff. Everybody plays golf, and they love and care about our facility. And it's kind of rare.
Yeah, it shows.
Lucky.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Paul. Next item is our superintendent, item H, James Shell. Take it away, Jim.
All right. Hello, everybody. Hopefully everybody's read my report. There's just a couple things I want to add. The bunker project is pretty much done. Jim, I misspoke today to you. I said it was done, but I forgot we do have some irrigation additions that have to go in on hole 14 bunker and hole 15. And then it's complete. But I mean, in the large scope of things, the bunkers themselves are finished. We are doing a little extra work over in front of the range tee to try and help dry that whole area up. It's been a quagmire since I've been here, and long part of my chip on my shoulder here. Also, Alan had mentioned that we are doing some we're trying to get some paving done around the shop. Now, I've pretty much ignored it the years past, but as we've gone here, it's gotten worse. And our equipment, a lot of our mowers are adjusted to the thousandths of an inch. And when we hit these potholes and bumps and stuff, and those cutting units touch those high spots, it knocks them out of whack, and we end up with inferior cut problems, whatever, broken equipment, whatever it might be. So it is kind of critical that we get that done. It's been a long time coming, but now we're at the point that it's we're desperate now. So we would like to get that done. Thank God for the rain. We watered straight for a couple months with only like a day or two break, with small little rains that we would get, you know, 1/10 of an inch, an 1/8 of an inch, something like that. And we paid for it. And I think it's paid off because we got a lot of golf, I think. And the course, the water company cut us off or asked me to not use any more water. And of course, I'm not going to do something that's going to cause a bad relationship, but we do need to look at that as something. If that were to happen in the middle of the summer, we'd be in big trouble. we need to work with them somehow to get reductions in use as drought stages get worse, just so that we don't lose all the money that we've invested into the golf course. It's standard language with most water companies to have reductions of use rather than just being completely cut off. So, and we're also, we're going to look more into coming up with our own water through wells and whatnot. And that is my report. If anybody has any questions.
So what Jim is talking about is the putting some asphalt down in the areas, in the maintenance areas, right? Where there are some really huge potholes and also a drainage area there as well, I think, Jim, am I correct?
Yep.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, is the bunker project first phase coming in about 30,000 below budget?
Almost a couple thousand away from that. Yep.
About 28,000 below budget, which is obviously a great achievement. The actual cost, Jim Holiday, I believe, for the to put asphalt down, and this is the only thing we can put down is blacktop, not gravel and things like that, to fix this problem. Am I correct in saying that as well?
Yes.
You are.
So the cost for this is $20,000, I think. Correct?
20,300, yes.
Okay, so the good news is that we came under budget in this, so we can actually do this. I do hate to spend the money that we've saved, but I think it's something that has to be done. It's within the capital budget. So I'll be interested to hear anybody's thoughts on this or any other questions they may have for Jim Shell.
I actually drove through there yesterday to take a look. It was a lot bigger than I thought. 20,000 seems like a lot, but it's a big hole there.
So, Jim, is this a patch job or is this a whole paving job?
There's a small area of patch, and there's two areas that, in fact, they're going to cut it out and make it a nice, neat job because they're critical to traffic in and out of the building and traffic in and out of the back of our yard.
So they're working on a drain.
The drain will be rebuilt.
Sorry?
Alan asked if they're working on the drain, and I said that the drain, the actual catch basin, is going to be rebuilt. And the areas of asphalt will be pitched so that the water drains to it.
Okay. Any further questions for Jim Shell?
Yeah, can I just ask him one golfer's question?
Sure.
How many inches of sand are above the cement in the traps?
5 to 6.
Okay, thank you.
Does the estimate exclude sales tax?
It does.
Yes, it does.
It's a capital project, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a question. And I don't know this. Is there like a hose bib or anything over there by the fountain garden?
Yeah.
There is. Okay.
It's going to be shut off December 2nd or 3rd, but
Okay.
there is one.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Next item, controller, Mark Gardner. We got any money, Mark?
Yeah, we do. If you read my report, I said that preliminary financial information will be presented during the live meeting. So I'll just say that for the month of October, total revenues of $254,000 is $55,000 over budget. And that's all golf rounds. That's a lot of money for October. Total expenses of $190 is $10,000 over budget. And 9 of that came from, if you guys remember over the last few months, Jim Holiday and Jim Shell talking about the roofing needed for the building maintenance. We already hit 9,000 in September. This is the remaining 9,000. So 18,000 for the year. So anyway, for the month, we basically would have been on target. So for the month, again, net operating income of $64,000 is $45,000 over budget. Percentage-wise, that's over 300% higher than expected. It's fantastic. On a year-to-date basis, because of that, total revs of 1,316,000 is $152,000 over budget. And the total expenses are only $10,000. So just this last month is the only overage we've had in expenses for a year-to-date basis for 4 months. So net operating income of $502,000 is $141,000 over budget 4 months in. Fantastic news. And Gary had asked me to kind of speak about CapEx a little bit, which we just did because the bunker project is the biggest part of the budget for this year in total. Just a couple of things other than what I had written here. The total capital improvement budget for the year is $286,000. And I've already gotten some more invoices from Jim for the bunker project. And I assume, Jim, I'll probably be getting the remainder now that you said that it should be done pretty soon. So
yeah. I'm assuming that well, there's going to be a couple like odds and ends that I'm going to be submitting, but the main final invoice will be when they finish the extra work that they're doing over at
okay. So by December, I would say, if it's not in November, by the end of December, the books will probably be a lot closer to budget in CapEx. And the general reserve and the savings on the bunker project are covering a number of items as Alan brought up, the paving there, some of which we've already talked about, the furnace at the maintenance building as well. And I want to make sure I'm saying this, that I'm very serious about my job. I don't take overspending frivolously, but I do want to make it a point that for the last 2 fiscal years and this current fiscal year to date, we have come in over budget on our net operating income. So we made more money than we originally planned. We came in over budget on our cash balance, all 3 of these periods as well. And we came in under budget on capital expense for the last 2 years. This year with bunkers, if for some reason, if something else pops up, we want to keep it to what's needed and not just start spending money. But if we go over a little bit over budget, 10%, so $28,000-$30,000, to me, that is not a big deal considering all these other factors that I just said. And this year, again, with $142,000 extra, if something comes up and it should be done, I say we do it. That's just my little 2 cents there.
Thank you. And I think one thing we look at when we write next year's budget is maybe to increase the contingency. I think we have 25 this year. Maybe we go to 50 next year, just because things come up. Whether rather than taking them from other areas, we have contingency. But just a thought anyway. So,
no, it's a very good thought, Alan. And this year we got hit with the furnace, $18,000 in month 1. And that's when you get hit in month 1, it's tough, especially with a big bunker project. So
correct.
Can I ask a question on the money that we're putting away that can only be used for capital?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When can you draw down on that if you have an emergency?
I don't think there's any restriction. We can use it for the next expense we want to. We could take it out of that account. I mean, as you know, I have it in the full cash balance that I disclose every month. But yeah, it is. We can use it as needed. I think the idea though is to leave it as a rainy day fund for when when
you really need it.
yeah. And all of a sudden maybe next year it rains every weekend and we come in under budget. We lose money next year. That's good to have that sitting aside there. It's somewhere around $60,000, I think, but don't hold me to that.
And one good thing, Mark, is we haven't had to touch anything of the CDs in the money market that we put aside for the investments.
Nope. In fact, last March, right before we started making money again, I had to transfer $20,000 out of one of our money market account, and I put that back in recently. I'm not going to do more than that, even though we have more cash because of the bunker project, because of all these expenditures. It's a lot that it's going to be going out as we go into off season where we start losing money each month. So that bank account is going to go down pretty fast. But I think we can get through without doing another transfer. So we should leave everything in the other accounts earning interest nicely.
And you haven't had to touch the line of credit either, which is nice.
Not since 2020.
Knock on wood.
Yes.
Any other questions for Mark? Thank you very much. And finally, on our reports, we have General Manager Jim Holiday, which will kind of update us on this new property management reporting system change. Thank you, James.
Thank you, Alan, and everyone. My report is full of the same mundane bullet items that I present every month. So if anyone has any questions, maybe you'll send me an email. You can ask me questions this evening, but the bulk of my time has been spent in discussion with the management team and negotiating the software that we use for T-Sheet booking engine and the POS, the point of sale terminals in the pro shop. As Alan mentioned earlier, our contract with GolfNow, a subsidiary of NBC Universal, for being on their platform and for their T-Sheet booking engine and POS services expires December 1st, 2024. And due to frustration with customer service issues on these systems, we began discussions with 4UP, another golf software company, actually in last April. And we learned that we can get the same services we're getting from GolfNow for 1/3 of the cost. In addition to that, we expect to have savings of $10,000 annually for website management. After several meetings with 4UP sales consultants and checking references from clubs that have switched to 4UP from other booking systems, we became certain that a switch was the right thing to do. So in comes our Chief Data Officer, Steve Shepard. We found that of the 25,732 rounds booked online from April 1st through September 30th, 2024, 87% were booked on our website and 13 were booked on GolfNow. It's very likely that many of those golfers found us on GolfNow, but they booked at oakhillsgolfcourse.com, oakhillsgc.com. We want to remain on GolfNow because they provide visibility that has done tremendous things for increasing our rounds over the past 3 years since we've been with them. So we will do that. The bottom line is that we have signed an agreement for T-Sheet, booking engine and POS and marketing services with 4UP, and we're about to sign an agreement to remain on GolfNow's platform for an annual savings of 33%. I think actually it's going to be a little bit more than that. We are extending our agreement with GolfNow through the end of the year. So it's a 30-day extension. And then we're going to sign a combination agreement that extends us into 2025 and likely 2026 to remain on GolfNow's platform. Mark, Paul, and Steve Shepard have spent a tremendous amount of time, background work and working, coming up with questions and getting the answers to these questions and fine-tuning the agreements. And we feel confident that we're making a smart move. 4UP is not perfect, but we had a lot of challenges with GolfNow, and we've had 6 training sessions with a core of staff from the pro shop, Mark, Steve, Paul, and I. We had our last one yesterday, and we're very confident moving forward that it's going to be a better experience in the pro shop, and it'll be a better experience for the golfers for booking. And it'll be a better experience for Mark Gartner in reporting our golf revenues to you every month. So that's what we've been up to this month. And I'm certainly open to questions if anyone has any.
Questions for Jim specifically, either on the new system or basically in general? I think it's a good move. The one thing, Jim, the other thing is one-to-one marketing, which does all our email blasts, is also part of 4UP, I believe, right, Jim? So
They're owned by 4UP, yep.
they're owned by 4UP, so they'll be seamlessly and stuff like that. Okay, no questions. Excellent. So item 6 on our agenda is old business. Is anybody have anything under old business? New business. Has anybody anything under new business?
Alan, do we have to vote on what we're doing for the estimate for Jim's parking lot, or are we approving it? Or
The vote on it, I don't believe, because it's within the capital budget. We're taking one from another.
Yeah.
moving funds
So I don't
over?
believe we have to do that, to be honest with you, because we're not going over the capital budget. Oak Hills Park Authority votes as an authority if we're going over the capital budget, because we have to vote to extend it. I believe that's what it is.
That is, and yeah, it's just a rejiggering of the itemization within the budget.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Under new business, I just did want to say our next meeting is December the 19th, and it will be a public hearing meeting. Mark will have to post something, I think, in the press, whatever it is. It needs to be done more than 14, but not less than 7 days prior to December 19th. Does anybody else have anything else for this?
I just want to thank the tennis people that dropped something nice on my desk today. I appreciate that.
Yes, same here.
Welcome.
I just like to thank the authority members for their forbearance. I think this is my longest meeting so far, not that I have for it, but we have a lot to do. We have a lot of good input, and I just like to say I appreciate your input and all of your forbearance. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Do I have a sponsor? Poser?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all very much.
Nice Thanksgiving.
Have a good night. Yeah,
everyone.
happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thanksgiving,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.